We have a little break until game week 30, and in this video, I'm going to look at what my team would look like if I took Haaland out and the strategy for the run-in. We're also going to take a look at how the team did in game week 29 and what big moves I can make in the midfield should Haaland be not in my team. Welcome to my channel. I'm your host, Femi. Let's jump into it. So originally this week, I posted this question on Reddit around, should we have Haaland in our squads post blank game week 31? Now, there is a chance that Haaland will not blank and Man City won't blank as well, of course, but let's just go with the assumption they do. And I got a lot of responses, and one of the first responses was, he'll score a hat trick against Wolves. He didn't. And then another response was, he has X number of points, 35 more than João Pedro, after João Pedro's hat trick against Aston Villa, so he's wise to keep in, to, he's Haaland, like, you'd be silly, and it'd be such a mistake to not keep him in. And then as we went down the thread, there are other people who said, I've took him out and I've spread around the funds and I've gone for different types of players. And it got me thinking. It's really good to hear from the community on what our thoughts are on, highly owned premium assets. And for me, I'm just looking at my team and, you look at this other information around how many points he scored in the last, X number of game weeks. And it sort of points to this view that, is he someone you could go without? Could you make the point somewhere else? And that's why I'm really considering it. Because when I look at my forward line, I also have Igor Thiago, who's not really doing much either. So the forward position is not getting me any points. FPL is a game of points. Yes, there's always a fear in going against these players who are highly owned. But at the end of the day, I need points. And we're getting to such a critical point in the season, a point where you can't really gamble for spots and just have spots, empty producing spots, as it's so tough to get a green arrow. So ultimately, I'm thinking, what are the big moves I need to make? And we're going to take a look at my team and what I can do. I have 4 fee transfers, so I have lots of flexibility. I always planned to originally, game week 32, basically have a mini wild card by saving up my transfers. And if I roll again, I would have 5 transfers going into the blank 31 if I roll for game week 30, of course. So let's take a look at how that is all lining up and what my options are. But first, let's review the team and how it did in game week 29. So I'm recording this just before the Crystal Palace Tottenham game, the last game of game week 29. So let's take a look at how the team did. I'm currently on 60 points. I had Royce, who was unexpectedly out for Sunderland, but I'll have Dubravka coming in for a 2-pointer. Royce has been really disappointing, and it makes me almost want to itch to do a goalie transfer, but let's see if he can recover for next week because, with so few transfers, you really have to use them and maximize them, and I don't think a goalie transfer is necessarily worth it. In terms of the defense, I had Diouf come through with the clean sheet. He's 4 million, guys, and honestly, he's like the best 4 million defender there is. I know James Hill is a great option, but he's sort of almost matching Hill in the last couple of game weeks, maybe even outscoring him. So someone to keep your eye on. And we know West Ham's in a relegation battle, so they also will probably be, really motivated to keep doing well. And the other thing that's really cool about Diouf, I watched a YouTube video on his crossing technique where he's helping other West Ham Academy graduates, in terms of crossing the football. And he was really good, and there's no surprise there because he is an amazing crosser of the ball. So he's one of my favorite picks. And then I have Munoz, who's to come to play against Tottenham away. And then obviously Gabriel, the 11-pointer. And he is the best asset in the game, no matter what the position is. And from a points per game average, he's really showing that. In the midfield, I captained Semenyo. So I'm not afraid going against Haaland. I always was going to be on Semenyo. I never really wavered, even with the news around Haaland. And he got, the goal. And obviously, unfortunately, didn't get any bonus points. We had Bruno Fernandes, who ended up on 8 points. He's becoming such a solid pick. As we all know, he's almost like attracted and addicted to points. No matter what, Bruno's going to find his way to get points, even though you would think they would have gotten more because they were up a man in that game against Newcastle. Bukayo Saka coming through with the goal, really great and 1 bonus point, really great to see him. And I think he could potentially be this dark horse and key player for me to keep on the squad as Arsenal tries to win their first title in 22 years. We have Ryan, who's been a bust of a move. I mentioned in my last video how Wilson probably should have came in for him. And then Declan Rice, the 3-pointer, and he just missed out on DEFCON. Declan Rice is also a position we'll see when we look at the midfield as potentially moving out post game week 31. And then up front, 2 blanks with Haaland and Thiago. 2 points from each is just not going to get it done. So that's where, we have a lot of potential room for improvement, and we'll look at those options shortly. And then on the bench, we had Mane with a 2-pointer, Ballard with a 9-pointer. Ballard has always been one of my preferred defenders, and he's probably going to have to maybe be a set and forget like a Gabriel, because he can get you DEFCON, and when he's scoring like this number high of points, I can't have these on the bench, because this would have been a really easy green arrow for me if Ballard was in my starting lineup, but unfortunately he wasn't. And then Chalobah, who, I'm not having any hope in the Chelsea defense with the 2-pointer. Now, that was the team and review for Game Week 29. Let's look at how we can make this team even better as we look at Game Week 30. Okay, so here's how the team is lining up for Game Week 30. I have 4 free transfers, and let's leave the goaltending position so far because, like I mentioned, I don't think I'm going to use a transfer in the goalkeeping position right now. Let's hopefully see if it's okay. And then on the back 5, in terms of the defense, let's leave all the defenders as well. We're going to focus on the midfield and forwards because that's where I think most of the points are going to come for the last half of the season, and see the big changes I can do there to really make the team better. So firstly, Haaland comes out. So Haaland will be out. And then the other midfielders, Ryan was always a punt, so Ryan can come out. And then Declan Rice as well. So I said Declan Rice was an essential player. He's not scoring enough goals for me. Now I think it's time to take a risk and potentially pivot from him. He was going to be Wilson if Wilson was able to play in Game Week 29. Obviously, Rice was the one who was able to play, and Wilson missed out. But in any case, let's just take out Rice. So that's 3 free transfers used. And now let's look at the guys that would probably be coming in. So number 1 is Cole Palmer. So Cole Palmer, he's 16% owned, still a huge, massive differential. And there's a little bit more confidence in him because look at the minutes. 84 minutes in the last game against Villa, 85 minutes against Arsenal, 74 minutes at Burnley, 90 minutes at Leeds. Last 4 games, he's getting the minutes. And when he gets the minutes, he can produce. He has good numbers and he's looking like a great option. And then the other thing is too, look at the fixtures. 3 of the next 4 are at home. Yes, you can say they're tough fixtures, but they can score against all these teams. Chelsea's offense is looking good with Palmer back, and that was always the wild card. When Cole Palmer's there, they're an entirely different attacking unit, and they play with so much more confidence. So he comes into the squad. The other player that we need to consider, and I'm really liking to look at him because he's getting a lot forward under their new manager, it's Anderson. So Anderson, he goes to City and has a 12-pointer. And just like Palmer, the reason to pick him up potentially, look, 3 of the next 4 are at home. Fulham at home, Villa at home, and Burnley at home. A Villa side that lost to Wolves away, and you look at Burnley, one of the worst sides in the league, back-to-back. That could be a great opportunity for him for points. We know he's good for DEFCON. If he starts adding attacking threat, I saw him taking some corners as well. There's lots of routes to points, and he could be a little bit of a better version than Rice, right? A cheaper version of Rice who actually scores. So that's also, a great option is to have Anderson. And then obviously up front, you know where I'm going. I mentioned him. We're going to go and get João Pedro. So this was a player that, frustrated a lot of people in terms of, his ability early on. He wasn't really taking a lot of shots, but again, he's in the form of his life right now. A hat trick, his first Premier League hat trick, a 19-pointer, 2.68 XG. That's crazy. These numbers are unreal. And he is the first choice striker in the Chelsea offense. So he would come in. And so now look at this squad. We can play a 3-5-2 most likely. So Gabriel will be the lock there. And then I can pick a Ballard who we know is good for DEFCONs. And he, even no matter the fixture. And then one of Munoz or Diouf. We'll see. We can always make a transfer there if necessary. But look at the midfield. We have Saka, Palmer, Semenyo, Fernandez, and Anderson. No one has that midfield I can think in the game right now, and all those guys are good for points. And, we have Saka obviously playing for the title, Palmer playing for Champions League places, Semenyo trying to catch, Arsenal, Fernandez, who's an ever-present for the Manchester United side and does everything for that team, and then Anderson, who's now adding goal threat. That's such a strong midfield. And then we have Thiago and João Pedro. We have Mane here, who, obviously Mane, we can come out. We could pick up a Bowen potentially. If we wanted Bowen in, we can do, still have 1.1 million left. You have so many options. You can pick up a Calvert-Lewin, because I know a lot of people on X were talking about Leeds and how their, fixture run looks good. You have a couple games here again at home at against Brentford and home against Wolves. But that can come a little bit later because, again, I'm going to be playing a 3-5-2, so I don't have to make that transfer. So ultimately, that's what the team looks like. If you like this video, please like and subscribe below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.